Hi there and welcome. I'm Nas. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you are returning, well then, welcome back. Have you ever found comfort in an unexpected place? Maybe a cafe, maybe a park, maybe a street corner, maybe even a homeless shelter. Why do you think certain places feel safe or clean or comfortable to us? Why are these our happy places? Now, today we're going to read a short story by Ernest Hemingway, A Clean, Well-Lighted Place. And the story starts with Hemingway talking about a suicide attempt. And I want you to think about a couple questions as we go through the story. Why does Hemingway talk about suicide so early in the story? And what emotion does that create in you? As we go along, I'm going to pose a couple questions. Please feel free to join the conversation and comment. Now let's talk about the older waiter walking through the empty streets at night. And have you ever felt more connected to a place at night when it's silent, when it's quiet, when it's deserted, when there aren't any other humans around? And why do nighttime spaces feel different? Do you prefer to walk through a street at night or during the day? To be quite honest with you, I don't like the idea of walking through a street alone at night. It gives me kind of a creepy feeling. I almost feel like I'm being followed. I don't feel completely safe. But of course, if I'm walking with other people, I'm walking with friends, if it's a beautiful full moon, the street lamps, especially when I'm in Italy, I love it. But walking alone at night, I don't feel very safe. I don't feel very secure. I don't want to bore you with unnecessary vocabulary, so if you know these words, just skip through it and start the story. The first one is dignity, and this is the quality of being worthy of honor and respect. Nada is Spanish for nothing. Insomnia, the inability to sleep, despair, complete loss or absence of hope. A cafe in Europe, not just a coffee shop, but more a place for lingering, for hanging out. Cretonne, it's a heavy cotton fabric, often printed with a pattern. And un ami, it's a French phrase meaning a friend. And in this story, it's used symbolically for loneliness. If you're ready, let's dive into our story. A Clean, Well-Lighted Place, 1933 by Ernest Hemingway. It was very late, and everyone had left the cafe except an old man who sat in the shadow the leaves of the tree made against the electric light. In the daytime, the street was dusty, but at night the dew settled the dust, and the man liked to sit late because he was deaf, and now at night it was quiet and he felt the difference. The two waiters inside the cafe knew that the old man was a little drunk, and while he was a good client, they knew that if he became too drunk, he would leave without paying. So they kept watch on him. Last week, he tried to commit suicide, one waiter said. Now think about it. Why does Hemingway mention the suicide so early in the story? Why? He was in despair. What about? Nothing. How do you know it was nothing? He has plenty of money. So this is very interesting because they are waiters and probably their biggest concern is money. They feel that if you have money, then you have nothing to be unhappy about, nothing to be in despair about. Because for people who are blue-collar workers, who are earning a wage, money is their biggest problem. So this guy was worried about nothing because he has money. So if you have money, you have nothing to worry about. Very interesting. When the young waiter mocks the old man, do you think that the young waiter is being cruel or just indifferent? And how would you react to the old man in a situation like this? And then when the older waiter defends the old man, can you think of a time you recognized someone else's pain when others around you didn't? What gave you that sensitivity, and why do you think that the others were so insensitive? This story really is deep. They sat together at a table that was close against the wall near the door of the cafe and looked at the entrance where the tables were all empty except where the old man sat in the shadow of the tree, of the leaves of the tree that moved slightly in the wind. A girl and a soldier went by in the street. The street light shone on the brass number on his collar. The girl wore no head covering and hurried beside him. "The guard will pick him up," one waiter said. "What does it matter if he gets what he's after?" "He had better get off the street now. The guard will get him. They went by 5 minutes ago, so they worried about the soldier getting caught by these guards." Okay. The old man sitting in the window rapped on his saucer with his glass. The young waiter went over to him. "What do you want?" The old man looked at him. "Another brandy," he said. "You'll be drunk," the waiter said. The old man looked at him. The waiter went away. "He'll stay all night," he said to his colleague. "I'm sleepy now. I never get into bed before 3 o'clock. He should have killed himself last week." Ouch, that's a bit harsh. The waiter took the brandy bottle and another saucer from the counter inside the cafe and marched out to the old man's table. He put down the saucer and poured the glass full of brandy. "You should have killed yourself last week," he said to the deaf man. The old man motioned with his finger. "A little more," he said. The waiter poured on into the glass so that the brandy slopped over and ran down the stem into the top saucer of the pile. "Thank you," the old man said. The waiter took the bottle back inside the cafe. He sat down at the table with his colleague again. "He's drunk now," he said. "He's drunk every night." "What did he want to kill himself for?" "How should I know?" "How did he do it?" As we go through the story, listen carefully. How many times do you hear the word nada? And why is this repetition so powerful? In literature, repetition has a reason. So when you keep hearing this word nada, this repetition, what feeling does it leave you with? Think about that. Please join the conversation. Comment. Let me know what you're thinking. He hung himself with a rope. Who cut him down? His niece. Why did they do it? Fear for his soul. So why did they save him? They didn't want his soul to go to hell. Okay. How much money has he got? He's got plenty. He must be 80 years old. Anyway, I should say he was 80. I wish he would go home. I never get to bed before 3 o'clock. What kind of hour is that to go to bed? He stays up because he likes it. He's lonely. I'm not lonely. I have a wife waiting in bed for me. He had a wife once too. A wife would be no good to him now. You can't tell. He might be better with a wife. His niece looks after him. You said she cut him down? I know. I wouldn't want to be that old. An old man is a nasty thing. I wonder why these waiters or this particular waiter has that perspective. Is there someone in his family who's old and who's nasty? You know, we do look at the world through the lenses of our own experiences. Do you know an old person who is nasty? Do you think that all older people or most older people are nasty, or are they just crabby because they're getting older? I'd love to know your thoughts. And the other waiter disagrees with him and says, not always. This old man is clean. He drinks without spilling, even now, drunk. Look at him. I don't want to look at him. I wish he would go home. He has no regard for those who must work. This guy clearly hates his job. The old man looked from his glass across the square, then over at the waiters. Another brandy, he said, pointing to his glass. The waiter, who was in a hurry, came over. Finished, he said, speaking with that omission of syntax stupid people employ when talking to drunken people or foreigners. No more tonight, close now. Oh, this is so true. When people speak to drunk people, but I'm going to look at it from the perspective of talking to foreigners, we omit a lot. I mean, I do it. Even though I'm speaking English and I'm speaking to a foreigner, I suppose I simplify what I'm saying, but then it sounds almost like I can't speak English. It's maybe just how the brain is wired. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? How do you speak to foreigners? Do you feel fluent, confident? Do you spend a lot of time thinking about what you're going to say? Another, said the old man. No, finished. The waiter wiped the edge of the table with a towel and shook his head. The old man stood up, slowly counted the saucers, took a leather coin purse from his pocket and paid for the drinks, leaving half a peseta tip. The waiter watched him go down the street, a very old man walking unsteadily because he's drunk, but with dignity. Why didn't you let him stay and drink? The unhurried waiter asked. They were putting up the shutters. It is not 2:30. I want to go home to bed. What is an hour? More to me than to him. An hour is the same. You talk like an old man yourself. He can buy a bottle and drink it at home. It's not the same. No, it is not, agreed the waiter with a wife. He did not wish to be unjust. He was only in a hurry. And you? You have no fear of going home before your usual hour? So he's saying, well, if you go home early, you don't know what you might get. You know, the unexpected might happen. The older waiter talks about insomnia. So why do you think insomnia is mentioned? And how might insomnia, the inability to sleep, right, symbolize something deeper, something more meaningful here? What's really going on? Please join the conversation and comment. Are you trying to insult me by saying that my wife may be with someone else? No, hombre, only to make a joke. This guy is so uptight, really he is. No, the waiter who was in a hurry said, rising from pulling down the metal shutters. I have confidence. I am all confidence. People who say that they are confident are usually not. I think if you're truly confident, there's no need to say it, right? And the older waiter says, you have youth, confidence, and a job. The older waiter said, you have everything. You have youth, so you've got your entire life ahead of you. You have confidence. You have a job. You have an income. And he's right. You have everything. I suppose with youth, he just assumes youth, health, vitality all go together. And it's almost a contrast to the old man who doesn't have youth. He's 80, his life is almost over. He doesn't have a job. Sure, he has money, but a job gives you purpose, doesn't it? It's also a place where you meet other people, where you connect with other people, you interact and socialize with other people. That's why retirement can be so hard for some people. And the waiter who has the wife waiting for him at home says, "And what do you lack?" Everything but work. So the older waiter says, "I don't have youth and I don't have confidence, but I have a job." And the younger guy says, "You have everything I have." "No, I have never had confidence and I am not young." "Come on, stop talking nonsense and lock up." "I am one of those who like to stay late at the cafe," the older waiter said, "with all those who do not want to go to bed, with all those who need a light for the night. I want to go home and into bed." "We are of two different kinds," the older waiter said. He was now dressed to go home. "It is not only a question of youth and confidence, although those things are very beautiful. Each night, I am reluctant to close up because there may be someone who needs the cafe." And what does he mean here? It's not just a place to drink. It's a place where they feel safe, maybe a place where they feel seen, where they feel heard, where they belong. "Hombre, there are bodegas open all night long." "You do not understand. This is a clean and pleasant cafe. It is well lighted. The light is very good, and also now there are shadows of the leaves." "Good night," said the younger waiter. "Good night," said the other. Turning off the electric light, he continued the conversation with himself. "It was the light, of course, but it is necessary that the place be clean and pleasant. You do not want music. Certainly you do not want music. Nor can you stand before a bar with dignity, although that is all that is provided for these hours." What did he fear? It was not a fear or dread. It was a nothing that he knew too well. It was all a nothing, and a man was a nothing too. It was only that, and light was all it needed, and a certain cleanness and order. Some lived in it and never felt it. But he knew it all was nada, yepu, nada, inada, yepu, nada, our nada, who art in nada, nada be thy name, thy kingdom, nada, thy will be nada in nada, as it is in nada. Give us this nada, our daily nada, and nada us our nada, as we nada our nadas, and nada us not into nada, but deliver us from nada, pure nada. So this is the Lord's Prayer, but he's substituting all of the important words with nada. Why? Hail nothing, full of nothing, nothing is with thee. Why this obsession with nada and nothing? He smiled and stood before a bar with a shining steam pressure coffee machine. "What's yours?" asked the barman. Nada, otro loco más, said the barman and turned away. A little cup, said the waiter. The barman poured it for him. The light is very bright and pleasant, but the bar is unpolished, the waiter said. The barman looked at him, but did not answer. It was too late at night for conversation. You want another copita? The barman asked. No, thank you, said the waiter, and went out. He disliked bars and bodegas. A clean, well-lighted cafe was a very different thing. Now, without thinking further, he would go home to his room. He would lie in bed, and finally, with daylight, he would go to sleep. After all, he said to himself, it's probably only insomnia. Many must have it. And this is the reason that the old waiter understood why the old man needed to stay at the cafe. Maybe it was because the nighttime brings out our demons, the things that bother us, the voices in our heads. And the reason that he felt empathy for the old man was because he suffers with insomnia himself. He doesn't want to go home alone, maybe to an empty room. He would be awake all night. Finally, with daylight, with the dawn, he would go to sleep. So he understood the older man's demons. But this last line is very profound, or the second last line. It's probably only insomnia. Do you think it's only insomnia? Do you think it's something more? And then he tries to comfort himself with the idea, many must have it. So everyone's struggling with it. You know, it's that concept of when there's an economic recession or people are struggling and they can't make ends meet and they're struggling financially and economically, and then it's almost this idea of, well, everyone's going through it. I'm not the only one. So there's comfort in numbers. You take solace knowing others are going through it as well. That was a very interesting short story. Hemingway doesn't tell us what to think, but he paints a picture and allows us to come to our own conclusions. So I have a couple of questions for you. Why do you think the old man chooses a cafe over a bar, or even just staying at home? And in the story, who do you sympathize with more? The young waiter, the old man, or the older waiter? I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. For me, it's a toss-up between the old waiter and the old man. The young waiter, he just doesn't realize what he has. He doesn't understand the value of youth, of having your life still ahead of you. That's kind of sad. And for these other two men, it's like their lives are coming to an end. And with the old man, it's not just about him being deaf. It's about the fact that he's entering into the dusk or the twilight of his life. And how does the setting, a clean, well-lighted place, contrast with the inner darkness, the inner turmoil of these characters? And I spoke a bit about this while I was doing the reading, but why do you think the older waiter understands the old man so deeply? Do you think it's just age, or is there something deeper there? And my final question for you is, what does the story suggest about aging and loneliness? I would love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this short story, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment. Share your thoughts with me in the comment section below. If you have any recommendations, any suggestions for upcoming short stories, please pop them into the comments. Thank you for joining me. I'm Nas, and it is ciao for now.